The air in the dorm room crackled with something unspoken, like the hum of a storm waiting to break. Alex's heart thudded so loudly he swore Jamie could hear it from across the couch. Their knees were inches apart, close enough to feel the warmth of each other's presence, but not quite touching, not yet. It was late. The kind of late where the world outside the University of Michigan campus felt like it had stopped existing. The dorm was a bubble of muffled laughter from down the hall, the faint buzz of a desk lamp, and the weight of everything Alex had never said. He'd spent months dancing around this moment. Every glance at Jamie's easy smile, or the way his dark curls fell into his eyes, twisting Alex's insides into knots. Tonight, though, something was different. Jamie had lingered after their study group left, his biology textbook abandoned on the coffee table, his gaze lingering a little too long. "You're staring again," Jamie said, his voice low, teasing, but with an edge that made Alex's breath catch. He leaned back, one arm draped over the couch, his flannel shirt unbuttoned just enough to show the curve of his collarbone. Alex wanted to look away, to laugh it off like he always did, but his eyes betrayed him, tracing the line of Jamie's jaw, the faint freckles dusting his cheeks. "Am I?" Alex managed, his voice rougher than he intended. He shifted, the couch creaking under him, and their knees brushed. Neither pulled away. The air thickened, charged with the kind of tension that could either spark or suffocate. Jamie's lips curved. Not quite a smile, more like a challenge. "You tell me." He leaned forward, closing the gap between them, his hand resting lightly on Alex's knee. It was a small gesture, but it set Alex's skin on fire, every nerve screaming at the contact. He froze, torn between leaning in and bolting for the door. They'd been here before, in a way late night talks that stretched too long, moments where their hands lingered too close, excuses to sit side by side during movie nights with their roommates. But this was different. This was deliberate. Alex's mind raced, replaying every time he'd caught Jamie watching him, every time their banter had felt like flirting but could have just been wishful thinking. Was this real? Or was he about to ruin everything? "Jamie." Alex started, but the words caught in his throat. He wanted to say it, to confess the crush that had been eating him alive since the first week of freshman year, when Jamie had walked into their dorm with a guitar case slung over his shoulder and a grin that made Alex forget how to speak. But fear was a heavy thing, and it pinned him in place. What if Jamie didn't feel the same? What if this was just a game to him? Jamie's hand didn't move from Alex's knee. Instead, his fingers tightened slightly, grounding, reassuring. "You what?" he asked softly, his eyes searching Alex's face. There was no teasing now, just a quiet intensity that made Alex feel like he was the only person in the world. "I don't know how to do this," Alex admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know what this is." Jamie's gaze softened, but there was a fire behind it, something fierce and unguarded. "Then let me help you figure it out." He leaned closer, their faces inches apart, and Alex could smell the faint cedar of Jamie's cologne, could see the way his lashes cast shadows on his cheeks. The world narrowed to this moment, to the space between them, to the way Jamie's breath hitched like he was just as nervous. And then, because Alex was tired of running from himself, he closed the gap. Their lips met, tentative at first, a brush of warmth that sent a jolt through Alex's entire body. Jamie made a small, surprised sound, but he didn't pull away. Instead, he pressed closer, his hand sliding up to Alex's shoulder. fingers curling into the fabric of his hoodie like he was anchoring himself. It was everything Alex had imagined and nothing he could have prepared for. The kiss deepened, slow and deliberate, like they were both afraid to rush it, afraid it might vanish. Alex's hands found Jamie's waist, pulling him closer, and the world outside that couch ceased to exist. There was no dorm, no campus, no fear of what anyone else might think. Just them. Just this. Until the door swung open. "Hey, don't stop on my account," came a voice, sharp and amused, slicing through the haze like a knife. Alex jerked back, his heart lurching into his throat. Jamie froze, his hand still on Alex's shoulder, his eyes wide with something between shock and defiance. Standing in the doorway was Ryan, Alex's roommate, his backpack slung over one shoulder and a smirk plastered across his face. "Ryan, what the hell?" Alex stammered, his face burning. He scrambled to put distance between himself and Jamie. But the couch was small, and there was nowhere to go. Jamie didn't move, his gaze flicking between Alex and Ryan, his expression unreadable. Ryan raised his hands, his smirk softening into something almost apologetic. "Relax, man. I'm not here to judge. Just didn't expect to walk in on a rom-com." He dropped his backpack by the door and crossed his arms, leaning against the wall. "Seriously, though, don't stop. You two have been dancing around this for months. It's about time." Alex's mind was a mess, caught between embarrassment and the lingering heat of Jamie's touch. He glanced at Jamie, expecting him to laugh it off or make some quip to defuse the tension. But Jamie was still watching him, his eyes steady, like he was waiting for Alex to decide what happened next. "Ryan, can you give us a minute?" Alex asked, his voice shaky but firm. Ryan raised an eyebrow, then shrugged. "Sure thing. I'll grab some coffee. But, don't overthink this. Okay? You're allowed to be happy." He grabbed his keys and headed out, the door clicking shut behind him. The silence that followed was deafening. Alex's pulse was still racing, his lips tingling from the kiss. But now doubt crept in like a thief. What did this mean? Was Jamie just caught up in the moment? And Ryan, what did he mean? It's about time. Had everyone seen this coming except Alex? Jamie shifted, his hand falling from Alex's shoulder to his own lap. "You okay?" he asked, his voice quiet but steady. Alex swallowed hard, his throat tight. "I don't know. Are you?" Jamie's lips twitched, a small, reassuring smile breaking through. "I'm more than okay. But you look like you're about to bolt." Alex let out a shaky laugh, running a hand through his hair. I didn't expect this. Any of this. And Ryan. Forget Ryan," Jamie said, his tone firm but gentle. "This isn't about him. It's about us. Unless you're regretting it already." "No," Alex said quickly. Maybe too quickly. "No, I don't regret it. I don't know what happens now." Jamie reached for his hand, lacing their fingers together. The gesture was simple, but it grounded Alex, pulling him back from the edge of panic. "We figure it out," Jamie said. "Together." For the first time that night, Alex felt like he could breathe. He squeezed Jamie's hand, his heart still racing, but with a different kind of energy now. Hope. Maybe. Or something close to it. The dorm room felt smaller, warmer, like it was holding them in this moment, shielding them from the world outside. But Alex knew the world was still there, waiting, and it wasn't always kind to moments like this. /Xi artifact. Xi artifact underscore ID equals 3EB7 4B041C artifact underscore version ID equals 5173 Kabef B6 453 title equals my same gender crush and I were flirting until my roommate walked in and said don't stop. Part 2. MD content type equals text /markdown. The next morning, sunlight spilled through the dorm's cracked blinds, painting stripes across the coffee table where Alex and Jamie's textbooks still lay abandoned. Alex woke with a start, his neck stiff from falling asleep on the couch, Jamie's head resting against his shoulder. For a moment, he didn't move, letting the warmth of Jamie's steady breathing anchor him. Then the memory of last night hit the kiss. Ryan's interruption, the way Jamie's hand had felt in his. It was real, but it felt like a dream he wasn't ready to wake from. Jamie stirred, blinking sleepily, his curls a mess. Morning, he mumbled, his voice rough with sleep. He didn't pull away, and Alex's heart did a stupid little flip. Morning, Alex echoed, his voice barely above a whisper. He wanted to say more, to ask what this meant, but the words felt too big, too heavy for the quiet of the morning. Jamie sat up, stretching, but his hand brushed Alex's thigh as he moved, deliberate enough to send a spark through Alex's nerves. You didn't run away in the night, Jamie said, a teasing lilt in his voice. That's a good sign. Alex laughed, the tension in his chest easing slightly. Yeah. Well, you're heavier than you look. Couldn't escape. Jamie grinned, but there was something serious in his eyes, something that made Alex's stomach twist. So, Jamie said, leaning back against the couch. What now? It was the question Alex had been dreading. Last night had been a bubble, a moment where the world didn't matter. But now, in the harsh light of day, the weight of reality pressed in. They were two guys in a small college town, in a state where not everyone was as chill as Ryan. Alex had grown up hearing whispers of disapproval, the kind that lingered in church pews and family dinners. He'd spent years convincing himself his feelings for Jamie were just a phase, something he could ignore until it went away. But it hadn't gone away. It had only grown louder. I don't know, Alex admitted, his voice quieter now. I want phthisis, but I'm scared. Jamie. I've never done this before. Jamie's expression softened, and he reached for Alex's hand again, his thumb brushing over Alex's knuckles. Me neither. Not really. But I know I don't want to pretend this didn't happen. Before Alex could respond, the door swung open again. Ryan, balancing a tray of coffee cups, froze in the doorway, his eyes flicking between them. Wow. You two are still at it, he said, but there was no malice in his tone, just a grin that made Alex want to sink into the floor. Shut up, Ryan, Alex muttered, his face heating up. Jamie just laughed, squeezing Alex's hand before letting go. Ryan set the coffee on the table and flopped into a chair. Look, I'm not trying to make this weird. I'm happy for you guys. But, maybe lock the door next time. Next time? Jamie asked, raising an eyebrow, and Alex's heart skipped at the implication. Was there going to be a next time? Did he want there to be? Ryan shrugged, sipping his coffee. Yeah, next time. You think I didn't notice the way you two have been mooning over each other all semester? It's like living in a rom-com, but with worse lighting. Alex wanted to argue, to say it wasn't that obvious. But the truth was, he'd been terrible at hiding it. Every time Jamie laughed, every time he leaned a little too close during study sessions, Alex had felt like his heart was on display. Maybe Ryan seeing it wasn't the worst thing. Maybe it was a relief. Still, the world outside the dorm loomed large. Alex thought of his parents, who'd always been supportive but never talked about this kind of thing. He thought of the guys in his econ class, the ones who threw around slurs like they were nothing. He thought of the way his own fear had kept him silent for so long. Jamie seemed to sense his spiraling thoughts. He stood, grabbing his jacket from the arm of the couch. "Come on," he said, holding out a hand to Alex. "Let's get out of here. Get some air." Alex hesitated, then took Jamie's hand, letting himself be pulled to his feet. Ryan gave them a mock salute as they headed out. And for the first time, Alex didn't feel like hiding. The campus was alive with the buzz of early fall students biking to class, leaves crunching underfoot, the air crisp and sharp. Jamie led them to a quiet spot by the diagram, a sprawling lawn dotted with trees and benches. They sat on a bench, shoulders brushing, and for a while, neither spoke. The silence wasn't heavy. Thuffit was comfortable, like they'd done this 1,000 times. "I meant what I said last night," Jamie said finally, his voice low. "I want to figure this out. With you. But I know it's not easy. Not here. Not now." Alex nodded, staring at the ground. "My family, they're not bad people. But they don't get it. I don't even know if I get it. I just know I've never felt like this before." Jamie turned to face him, his eyes fierce. "You don't have to have it all figured out. Neither do I. But I'm not going anywhere. Okay?" Alex met his gaze, and for the first time, he let himself believe it. He leaned in, resting his forehead against Jamie's, their breaths mingling in the cool air. It wasn't a kiss, but it was close, and it felt like a promise. /Xi artifact. Xi artifact underscore ID equals 970744417 artifact underscore version info ID equals 7157667 title equals my same gender crush and I were flirting until my roommate walked in and said don't stop. Part 3. MD content type equals text/markdown. The weeks that followed were a blur of stolen moments and quiet courage. Alex and Jamie fell into a rhythm study sessions that turned into late-night talks. Walks across campus that ended with their hands brushing. Kisses in the shadows of empty lecture halls. But the world wasn't always kind. There were stares. Whispers. Moments when Alex felt like he was wearing his heart on his sleeve for everyone to judge. One night, at a party off campus, things came to a head. The house was packed. Music thumping. Red cups littering every surface. Alex and Jamie had arrived together. But Alex felt out of place, his nerves fraying with every glance from strangers. When Jamie reached for his hand, Alex pulled back instinctively, his heart pounding. Jamie's face fell, but he covered it with a smile. "You okay?" he asked, his voice barely audible over the music. Alex nodded, but he wasn't. He hated himself for pulling away, for letting fear win. Jamie deserved better than that. They deserved better. Later, Outside on the porch, Jamie found him, leaning against the railing, staring at the stars. "Talk to me," Jamie said, his voice gentle but firm. Alex took a deep breath, the cold air stinging his lungs. "I'm sorry. I saw the way people were looking at us. I got scared." Jamie stepped closer, his shoulder brushing Alex's. "I get it. I do. But I don't want to hide. Alex. Not with you." The words hit like a punch. Alex turned to face him, the moonlight catching the determination in Jamie's eyes. "I don't want to hide either," Alex said, his voice shaking. "But I don't know how to be brave like you." Jamie reached for his hand, and this time, Alex didn't pull away. "You're braver than you think," Jamie said. "You're here, aren't you?" Alex laughed. A small, broken sound. "Barely." "Then let me help you," Jamie said, echoing his words from that first night. He leaned in, kissing Alex softly, and for a moment, the world felt right. But the moment didn't last. A group of guys stumbled out onto the porch, their laughter cutting through the quiet. One of them, a guy from Alex's econ class, smirked. "Well, look at this," he said, his voice slurred but sharp. "Didn't know you swung that way, Alex." The words were a knife, cold and cutting. Alex froze, his hand tightening in Jamie's. But Jamie didn't flinch. "Yeah, he does," Jamie said, his voice steady, defiant. "Got a problem with that?" The guy laughed, but it was forced, and he backed off, muttering something under his breath. The others followed, leaving Alex and Jamie alone again. But the damage was done. Alex's heart was racing, not with the thrill of Jamie's touch, but with the weight of what had just happened. "I'm sorry," Alex said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Don't be," Jamie said, squeezing his hand. "You didn't do anything wrong." But Alex felt like he had. He'd let fear win again, let it steal a moment that should have been theirs. He wanted to be better. For Jamie. For himself. The next day, Alex made a decision. He called his parents, his hands shaking as he dialed. He told them about Jamie, about the feelings he'd been carrying for so long. His mom was quiet for a long time, but when she spoke, her voice was soft. "We just want you to be happy, Alex. That's all we've ever wanted." It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. And when Alex told Jamie about the call, Jamie's smile was brighter than the sun. "Told you were brave," he said, pulling Alex into a hug. Months later, at a quiet coffee shop near campus, Alex and Jamie sat across from each other, their hands intertwined on the table. Ryan was there too, teasing them as always. But his grin was proud, like he'd known all along they'd make it. The world wasn't perfect, there were still stares, still whispers, but Alex didn't care as much anymore. He had Jamie, and Jamie had him, and that was enough. They'd faced their fears, their doubts, the weight of a world that didn't always understand. And in the end, they'd found something worth fighting for, each other. As Alex looked at Jamie, at the way his eyes crinkled when he laughed, he realized that love wasn't just about the big moments, the kisses, the confessions. It was about the quiet ones, too. The ones where they just existed, together, unafraid.